Welcome to your mats today. We're going to be working a fired up practice. And to get started, we will start in a seat. No props needed today. So any comfortable seat, you can do Sukhasana with the legs crossed. You can even come onto the shins. Anything that feels comfortable for you. And then once you get there, if it feels okay, go ahead and close the eyes. Or if you prefer a soft gaze in front of you, that will work too. And then let the hands rest anywhere that's comfortable. And we'll start with a few cleansing breaths. So first, releasing any air that's currently in the lungs. And then take a big, deep breath in. Part the lips, audible sigh out. Let's do that 2 more times. Big, deep breath in. Part the lips, big sigh out. All right, last one. Let's hold this at the top. Big, deep breath in, fill up the lungs. Hold it. Take in one more little sip. Part the lips, heavy sigh out. Let it go. So just starting to settle the mind a little bit. Giving ourselves some time to reacquaint ourselves with this sacred time in our practice. And just starting to center, bringing that focus inward. And so starting to notice just how do you feel? What is it like to be you today? What kind of emotions are coming up for you? What kind of feelings? What kind of energy have you cultivated that maybe you've carried onto the mat here with you? And then see if you can meet yourself here without judgment, just allowing yourself to be exactly as you are, as you've shown up in your practice today. And then bring that attention to the body, observing the physical sensations of the body. And let's do a scan. So starting from the points of contact that body is making with the earth, so your seat, the legs, and then travel all the way up, coming up to the crown of the head. So from the base of the body to the crown of the head. And looking for feedback as you check in with each individual body part. Just noticing how the body is feeling today. Any tension, any soreness. Maybe even spending a little extra time in the parts of the body that are normally kind of numb. Maybe something that you don't normally feel. And just observing there. And the same style of observation here without judgment, allowing yourself to physically be and feel exactly as you've shown up here. And we do this so that we can honor where we are in our practice today, so we know where to explore our edges, where we can push ourselves, or maybe where we need to be a little gentler with the body, where we need to back off and be tender. A couple more moments to do this check-in with your body. And then once you've finished your physical check-in, let's bring the awareness to your breath. And today we'll take one hand to the heart and one hand to the belly. And then just start to notice where the breath lands on the inhale and the space that's created in the body on the exhales. And then on the next exhale, see if you can contract the belly all the way in, hugging the torso, hugging the belly all the way in on the exhale. And then on the next inhale, see if you can fully soften and release the belly. And then trace the breath just like this. Allow the inhales to come in, soften the belly. Let's send that breath to the bottom of the belly, all the way to the bottom of the torso. And then the exhale, contracting the belly and allowing the breath to come right back up and out. And then let's take both hands to the space that's right above the belly button, but just below maybe the lowest ribs. You can take both hands here and continue to follow that breath and just feeling the belly expand and contract, moving in and out. And so this part of the body is associated with our energy center known as the solar plexus chakra. And this chakra represents our personal will, our fire, and our discipline. So this will be our point of focus for our practice today. Be using this solar plexus chakra to invite in heat, using our own discipline to create fire and heat in the body. Now, if you like the hands on the belly here, you can keep them. You can also let them come back into the lap, and we'll set up our Ujjayi pranayama, victorious breath. So to set this up, you'll find a slight constriction in the throat, and then begin breathing in and out through the nose, finding a gentle whisper sound. It might sound a little bit like the ocean waves crashing on the beach. We sometimes refer to this as ocean breath. And then setting up a pattern of breathing that you can maintain for the duration of class. And we'll use this breath to help center the mind, to keep the mind tethered to the body, to this moment on our mats, to help us cultivate presence. And this breath also helps build heat in the body and then expel that heat on the exhale breath. So a couple more cycles of breath, just connecting with your Ujjayi pranayama. So we'll start to invite in some movement. If you are not already sitting in Sukhasana with the legs crossed, go ahead and find a crossing of the legs. And if you've been sitting here, go ahead and switch the crossing. So if you had the left foot in front, then you'll take the right foot or vice versa. And you can keep the eyes closed for this initial movement. We're just going to take a gentle twist. On your inhale breath, we'll inhale, reach the hands to the sky. And then exhale, twist to the right. Take the left hand to the right thigh, and then that right hand comes behind the right hip. Just pause here for a moment, very gently landing into this shape. Notice how it feels on the spine. And then on the next inhale breath, find a little bit of length. And then exhale, pull yourself maybe a little bit deeper into the twist, using the contact of the arms with the earth and your leg to pull you in. And then the gaze can stay out over to the right, or maybe you take the gaze out over that right shoulder. Noticing where there's effort, where in the body you're holding on. And can you use an exhale breath maybe to pull yourself a little bit deeper into the twist? So letting go somewhere to soften and twist a little bit more deeply. And on the next inhale, we'll come back through center, reaching those hands to the sky. And then exhale, twist to the left, right hand to the left thigh, and then the left hand behind the left hip. Just notice how you land here first. And then on the inhale, sit up tall, find length in the spine. And then exhale, pull a little bit deeper into the twist. Gaze can stay out to the left, or maybe if it feels okay on the neck, taking that gaze over the left shoulder. Our sides are different. Noticing how it feels to be in this shape on this side. And can you use an exhale breath to soften the body and pull yourself a little bit deeper into the twist? On the next inhale, we'll sweep those hands back up to their center, palms to touch, and let's bring hands to heart center. We're going to extend the legs, taking the feet out in front of us, maybe even bending the knees, the legs a little wiggle here. And then we'll flex the feet, toes coming in toward the body. We're going to take a forward fold here. So if the feet together don't feel good, maybe taking the feet out a little bit wider. This just helps create some space for the belly as we fold forward, but taking what you need. So maybe experimenting with those two variations here. Let's inhale, reach the hands to the sky. We'll keep the spine straight and then hinge forward at the hips. We pause at that first line of resistance, that first tugging that you feel in the body. And then the hands can come down and rest anywhere that's comfortable on the mat, even on the legs. Maybe find a little more length in the spine. Hinging forward just a little bit deeper into those hips. And then on the exhale, go ahead and round the spine, holding the belly in toward the legs, and the head reaches down toward the knees. And so nothing has to touch here. There's no forehead to knees rule. You don't have to touch the toes. I feel as though this is one of those poses in our practice that has that reputation where it has to look a certain way. But we're all shaped differently. Our muscular skeletal design is unique. And so no two shapes could possibly look the same. And so that tells us that our yoga practice is about what it feels like, not what it looks like. So observing the sensations in the body for you today. And on the next inhale, we'll come up And then cross the legs. And we'll roll forward, coming into a tabletop pose. Shoulders stack over wrists. Fingertips are spread wide, and we're pressing into all 10 fingers. Knees stacked below hips here. And we'll take a few rounds of cat and cow. So first, let's find some activation in the abdomen, since we are working with the heat and fire in our belly. We'll start to engage those abdominal muscles. And then imagine drawing that belly button up into the spine. Maybe even picture like a corset wrapped around the torso, and you're contracting all of those muscles. You're cinching all of those muscles together that are in your core here. And then we're going to keep that activation in our cat-cow series. So you might feel a little change in the range of motion, and that's okay. So keeping your activation on the inhale, we'll come to cow pose, reach the sit bones behind you, and then pull the heart forward. Gazes maybe a few feet out in front of you. And then see if you can create flexion and curvature in the upper part of the spine. So we have this nice natural curve in the lumbar and the low back. So let's see if we can create equal parts flexion in the upper part of the back. And that's where we're trying to pull the heart through those shoulders forward. Keep the activation of the abdominal muscles. And then on the exhale, we'll round the spine, push the earth away, tilt the sit bones down, chin in toward the chest, and the head is heavy. You keep that abdominal activation. Again, I know it might feel a little different. And for me, it's much harder to engage this way, or at least I feel less in my cat pose than I do when I take my cow. So just notice what happens for you. All right, and let's take breath by breath movement between these two shapes. Inhales to cow. Exhale, cat. And then keep going using your breath to guide this movement. And let's say 3 more wherever you're at. And after your third round of cow and third round of cat, we'll sink the hips back and take a child's pose. And then just like in a forward fold, you can keep the knees together and let the belly rest on top of the thighs. That may feel uncomfortable. So you can take the knees to the outside edges of the mat and then let the belly come down. And then arms can stay reaching out in front of you. Maybe the forehead reaches down toward the mat. But if you cannot rest the forehead on the mat, that's okay. We can stack palms, even stack fists. It might even feel nice to come up on the elbows and let the chin rest on the inside of the hands. And then this is just a reminder that this pose is available to you at any time during your practice. So if you need a moment to pause, to reset, to catch the breath, you can come here at any time. And if this shape doesn't feel good to you, any other pose that you have in your practice that does, you can take that instead. So you can come back to a seat. Maybe you lay down into Shavasana on the back, or even coming onto the side. Anything that feels good for you. All right, on the next inhale, we'll come up, tabletop pose. And come back to the shoulders stacked over the wrists, knees below hips. And then on the inhale, we're going to reach the right hand to the sky. And then exhale, we're going to thread the right arm underneath the left, coming onto that right shoulder and allowing the right side of the face to come down and rest on the earth. Now check in with the hips. Notice if the hips have kind of kicked over to the left, maybe bringing the hips back through center. And then that left hand can stay rested next to the face. Maybe reaching that left hand out toward the top of the mat, using that to press and maybe sink into the twist a little deeper. You could also take that left arm and wrap it around the low back. That feels good. And then if you took an option for that left hand, go ahead and replant it next to the face. We'll press into that left palm and then counter stretch, reach the right hand to the sky again. Replant that right hand and then we switch sides. Inhale, reach the left hand to the sky. Exhale, thread that left arm underneath the right, coming onto the left shoulder and then resting on the left side of the face. And then that right hand, same options here, can stay planted next to the face. Maybe you walk it out to the top of the mat. Maybe it reaches around the low back. And then just check back in with those hips, maybe bringing those hips back through center if they've adjusted. And then replanting that left hand, right hand. And then pressing into the palm, taking the counter stretch, reaching that left arm to the sky. And then exhale, planting the hands. And then we'll take our first downward facing dog. So step the right foot back, the left foot back, and then shift those hips up and back, downward facing dog. And this is our first down dog of practice today. So any movement that you'd like to take to warm up your dog, maybe pedaling out the feet, bending and straightening one leg at a time, maybe shifting the hips from side to side. Anything goes here. And then let's find some stillness. We'll bend the knees, gaze forward. And on the exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat, meeting in a forward fold. And you keep a pretty generous bend in the knees here. And again, just like in our forward fold when we're on our seat, you can take the feet out a little bit wider to create a little space for the belly, rounding the spine, taking the gaze behind you. Hands can rest anywhere that's comfortable, maybe on the earth, maybe they rest and hold onto the legs, anywhere that feels good for you. And then on the next inhale, we'll slowly come up, rolling up the spine, one vertebrae at a time. Head and shoulders come up last. Palms facing toward the top of the mat. We'll inhale, sweep the hands to the sky. Exhale, hinging forward, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, palms to shins. Exhale, plant the hands. We'll step the left foot all the way back and then release the left knee down. On the inhale, reach the hands to the sky. Low lunge. And then just notice how you've come into this shape. And again, this is where we are looking for opportunity to get the most benefit that we need today in this shape, in this pose. So maybe even just taking the hands to the hips. First, starting, notice where the hips have landed in this shape. Maybe you have the right hip kicked up. Maybe you have the left hip opening out to the side. Maybe experiment with trying lining up the hips and having both hip points pointed toward the top of the mat. Notice how that feels. Starting to activate the legs here. And then let's bring hands to heart center. We'll take a twist. So I want you to find that abdominal engagement again. And then on the exhale, we're going to twist to the right. So just using the strength of the core to twist us to the right. Very good. And keep hands at heart center here. And then we'll plant the left hand on the inside of the right foot. So we're already opening up this torso to the right, and then reach the right hand to the sky. All right, so check in with that left shoulder. See if you can press the earth away a little bit more with that left hand, and then find some activation underneath that armpit of the left arm. And then we're going to tuck the back toes, and we'll lift that left knee off of the earth. Now, if you felt better in this pose with the knee down, you can take that option, or you can lift that left thigh. Now, keep that back leg really strong and active, reaching that left thigh to the sky. Very good. I'm assuming very good. It's really more feedback for me. You're doing good, Lisa. All right. On the exhale, we'll cartwheel that right hand down to frame the right foot. We'll step the right foot back to meet the left, plank pose. And then on the exhale, lowering all the way down onto the belly. We'll untuck the toes, draw the elbows in toward one another. And then on the inhale, reach the heart forward, cobra pose. We'll hold here for a couple cycles of breath. Keep those elbows drawing in. And then just like in our cow pose, see if you can find the curvature, the flexion in the upper part of the back. And then use the engagement of those abdominal muscles to support the low back, to support this back bend. Keep the heart reaching. On the exhale, tuck the toes, push yourself up to plank, and then shift those hips up and back, downward facing dog. All right, we'll bend the knees, gaze forward. On the exhale, walk or step to the top of the mat, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, palms to shins, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, let's sweep the hands to the sky, press the hips forward. Exhale, hands come through to heart center. Maybe close the eyes here. Just check back in with the body. Noticing anything that may have shifted or changed since we started class. Maybe the heart is beating a little faster. Maybe you're starting to feel that heat build. Alright, open the eyes if you had them closed. Inhale, reach the hands to the sky. Exhale, hinging forward, forward fold. Inhale, half lift, palms to shins. Exhale, plant the hands, step the right foot all the way back, and then release that right knee down, untuck the toes, and then inhale, reach the hands to the sky. And so sides are different. So just because you checked in with alignment and how you felt on the other side Notice what's happening on this side. So how did you come into this shape here? What's happening in the hips? How do the legs feel? Can you grow a little taller in the spine? Where can you get a little bit more out of this shape? And then let's bring hands to heart center. Find that abdominal engagement again. And then on the exhale, twist to the left. So keep everything in the bottom part of the body the same. It's just the torso that's twisting. Holding here, using the strength of that powerful core. And then planting that right hand on the inside of the left foot. And then reach that left hand to the sky. And then check in with that right hand. So see if you can fire up, activate that right side of the body a little bit more. Find a little lift out of that right shoulder. And then maybe tuck the back toes and lift that right leg up. Yes, very nice. Good work. And then cartwheel that left hand down to frame the left foot. We'll step that left foot back to meet the right, plank pose. And then I'll give you your second Vinyasa option. So we'll release the knees down first for a supported plank. Start to shift forward so that the shoulders come just beyond the fingertips and start to hug the elbows into the body. We'll lower halfway for Chaturanga. Option to lift the knees, or you can keep a supported Chaturanga here. And then untuck the toes, pull the heart forward, lift the thighs, the knees off of the mat for upward facing dog. Slide the shoulder blades down, create space across the collarbones. And then tuck the toes, shift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Let's inhale, reach the right heel to the sky. Bend the knee, open and stack the hips. Notice if you've shifted weight between hands, see if you can redistribute the balance of the body between the 3 points of contact that you're making with the earth. And then take that right knee around that right hip into some knee circles. Switch directions. Just warming up the body a little bit more. And then we'll inhale, reach the right heel to the sky. Exhale, right knee to right tricep. Inhale, reach the right heel to the sky. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, reach that right heel. Exhale, right knee, left tricep, and hold. See if you can draw that right knee up a little bit higher. Use the strength of that core. And then inhale, reach the right heel to the sky. Exhale, step the right foot between the hands. Let's spin the back foot flat, left toes pointing toward the left side of the mat. Start to press into both feet. And then notice here, before you even stand up, what's happening with the hips? Where are the hips? See if you can draw the hips toward midline and then cartwheel and stand up. Yes. And then just notice how you come into this shape, making your adjustments, maybe evening out the pelvis. You control the depth of this pose. Sinking into that front leg increases the sensations of this shape. Straightening the leg will decrease the sensations. And then the torso's facing the left. Shoulders are about stacked over hips. Arms out to the side like a T. And then just check in with that back arm. So this back arm likes to do kind of funny things. We think that it's cooperating, but it's sometimes limpy loodle down here. See if we can have both arms come straight out from those shoulders. And then really reach with the back arm, really reach with the front. And taking the gaze out over that right middle finger. Let's inhale, reverse warrior. Reach the right arm up and overhead, keeping the torso facing over here to the left. And then sinking back into that right knee if you lift it out. And keep reaching with that right arm. Yes, and then anything goes for the left. You can wrap it around. It can slide down that back leg. Maybe the gaze is out underneath that right armpit, right shoulder. And then exhale, extended side angle. Right forearm to right thigh. Left arm reaches up and overhead. Slide the shoulder blade down the back with the left arm. And then that bicep is about in line with the ear. And breathe. Coming back to that breath. All right, so then we're going to take that left hand on the inside of the right foot. We're going to spin that back foot onto the ball of the back foot. And then open up to that low twisted lunge, reaching that right hand to the sky. And then again, you can always release that left knee down if that feels better. On the exhale, right hand comes down to frame that right foot. And then take an inhale, reach the right heel behind you for a three-legged dog. And then exhale, right knee, left tricep. And then send that right foot out to the side of the left side of the mat, just extending that leg. And then opening up, supporting the body on that right hand, left leg, right foot, reach the left hand to the sky. Now maybe find that abdominal activation again, contracting the right side of the body, maybe starting to fire up this right leg and lift and hover the right foot off of the mat. Release that right foot down if you took that option. We'll replant the left hand and then send that right foot back, three-legged dog. And then inhale, shift forward to plank. Plant the right foot down to meet the left. And then taking your vinyasa or skip it, and we meet in downward facing dog. Let's take a cleansing breath when you get there. Big, deep breath in. Part the lips. Heavy sigh out. Let it go. Yes. On the inhale, reach the left heel to the sky. Bend the knee, open and stack that hip. Notice if you've shifted weight, see if you can redistribute the balance of the body with the 3 points of contact with the earth. And then take that left knee and rotate it in some circles around the left hip. I'm going to switch directions so you guys can see me. Actually, all right. On the inhale, reach the left heel to the sky. Bend the knee, open and stack the hip. And then rotate that left knee around the left hip. Switch directions. And then inhale, reach the left heel to the sky. Exhale, left knee, left tricep. Inhale, left heel to the sky. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, reach the heel. Exhale, left knee, right tricep, and we hold. Really find the contraction of those abdominal muscles. Hug that right knee a little bit closer. Inhale, reach the left heel to the sky. Exhale, step the left foot between the hands. We'll spin the back foot flat, right toes pointing toward the right side of the mat. Check in here before we stand up. So find the foundation in the legs. Press into the feet. Notice where the hips are. Maybe start to draw the hips back in through center. And then inhale to cartwheel open. And then notice how you've landed in this shape. What's happening in the hips? Can you readjust the hips here? Torso is facing toward the right side of the mat now. Sinking into that left knee. Arms out to the side like a T. Checking in with that back arm. And really reaching with both arms in opposite directions. Let's reverse our warrior. Inhale, reach the left arm up and overhead. Maybe sink back into that left knee if you lift it out. Torso's facing toward the right. And reaching with that left arm. On the exhale, extended side angle, left forearm to left thigh, reaching that right arm up and overhead. Slide that shoulder blade down the back and keep the reach. That shoulder blade is about in line with that, the bicep is in line with that right ear. Come back to the breath. Use the breath to steady the mind and to steady the body. All right, on the exhale, we're going to take the right hand on the inside of the left foot. We're going to spin onto the ball of that back foot and then reach that left arm to the sky for your low twisted lunge. And remember, you can always take that right knee down if you need a little release out of the body. If you have that right knee lifted, really reach that right thigh to the sky. On the exhale, we'll plant the left hand to frame that right foot, and then inhale, left heel to the sky. Exhale, take the left knee, right tricep, and then send that left foot out to the right side. And then opening up, reaching the right hand to the sky. Now find that abdominal engagement, crunch that left side of the body together here. Maybe start to firm up that left leg, and then maybe hover that left foot off of the earth. Keep reaching with the right hand. Yes, very good. And then exhale, we'll plant that right hand down. Inhale, reach the left heel to the sky. Inhale, shift forward, plant that left foot, and then lower for your vinyasa or skip it, and we come to downward facing dog. Let's take a big deep breath in. Part the lips, heavy sigh out, let it go. And we're going to meet in a seat. And however that makes sense for you to get there. You can step through, jump through. Okay. All right. So we're going to take and bend the knees. Feet will be planted a couple feet out in front of the hips. And then we're going to take that left foot and slide it underneath the right leg, hugging the left heel into the right hip. And then we're going to take the top leg, that right thigh, cross it over the left, and then hug that right heel in toward the left hip. Now, if this doesn't feel good in the knees, or maybe your right hip is kicking up, then you're going to re-extend that left leg come out in front of you like that. Okay. So taking the option again that honors your body. This isn't about what it looks like. It's about what it feels like. So if you're feeling pain, any discomfort in the joints, you're going to take this option. That's not to say that this option doesn't have its own unpleasant sensations. All right. So whichever option that you've taken, start to settle. Hands can rest anywhere that's comfortable. We'll hold here, just in a seat. Just allowing the body a moment to settle into this shape before we add on more, before we decide we need to do that. So just noticing the sensations in the body here. Now, if you feel good here and you feel a lot of sensation, you can stay exactly as you are for these next cycles of breath. Or maybe if you have a little space, maybe start to walk the hands out in front of you, folding the belly in toward the legs, letting the spine round, maybe even bowing the head forward, forehead reaching toward that knee. And again, nothing has to touch. This is about what it feels like. So noticing what's coming up for you in this shape here. Connecting with the breath. If you folded forward, you're going to start to walk the hands back in, bringing the torso up. And then we'll re-extend both legs. And then your option here, you can either keep the knees bent with the feet planted and then tick-tock the knees from side to side, or maybe folding forward, wrapping the arms around the legs and the forehead in toward the knees. Whichever option sounds good for you. And when you're ready, we'll switch sides. Now taking the right foot, weaving it underneath the left leg, taking that right heel up toward the left hip, and then crossing the left leg, bringing that left heel over to the right hip now. And then just because on one side you did one thing or it looked like a certain way on one side, it might have to look a little bit different on another side. So be okay with that. So if you have the legs crossed this time and you didn't last time, that's fine. Or maybe you need to re-extend that right foot, that's okay too. So just start to settle in. Noticing the sensations in the body. And you know where we're going from here. So just making a decision now. If you would like to take that forward fold option, start to walk the hands out in front of you, round the spine, forehead in toward the knee. Coming back to that breath. Noticing where in the body you feel effort. And can you use an exhale breath to soften, to surrender to the shape? Start to come up, walking the hands in, and then very gently begin to unwind. And then same options as last time, taking the tick-tock of the knees from side to side, or maybe bringing the arms around the legs and folding forward again. And when you're ready, we're going to come all the way down onto our backs. It might feel nice to take the knees into the chest for Apanasana, maybe rocking a little bit from side to side. And then let's take the legs down the length of the mat. And we'll reach the arms up and overhead. Maybe take a little good morning stretch. Oh, it feels good. And then we'll walk, let's start with the arms, the upper part of the body. So we'll walk the shoulders, the arms, the head to the top left corner of the mat. And then that left hand can either hold on to the wrist or maybe the elbow or the right arm. And you can use that to kind of pull yourself a little bit deeper into this side body stretch. And then walking the legs over to the left side of the mat. So maybe experiment with crossing the left ankle over the right and vice versa. And then just taking, again here, the option that feels good for you and your body. Noticing where in the body there's effort, where's the body active. And can you use an exhale breath to soften, to surrender to the shape? And cross the ankles, start to walk the feet back to center. Release any gripping of the arm, walking the arms back to center. And just pause here, noticing how the two sides feel. And then when you're ready, walking the upper part of the body over to the top right. Taking the arm variation that makes sense for you. Maybe grabbing onto the left wrist, holding onto that elbow. And then experiment with the crossing of the ankles. Let's actually first we'll walk the feet over to the right, and then taking the option, crossing the right ankle over the left, and vice versa. Let's experiment. And again, what you do on one side may look and feel different than what you're going to do on the other. That's quite all right. And just come back to that breath. Can you use an exhale to soften, to surrender, to melt into this shape? And cross the ankles, walk the feet back to center. Release any arm variation, bringing the arms and the upper body back to center. And then we're going to take one final twist before we take our Shavasana. We're going to bend the knees and take the feet to the outside edges of the mat. Arms out to the side like a T. And then on the exhale, let the legs fall over to the left. Allow the body to settle into the shape. And if you'd like to experiment with deepening the sensation of this pose, maybe cross the left ankle over the right thigh, creating some additional traction in the top of the right leg, the right hip, maybe even coming all the way up into the spine. If that feels like too much, you can always release that left ankle and then just enjoy the easy twist. Quote unquote enjoy. On the next inhale, we'll bring the knees back up through center. Exhale, let the legs fall over to the right. And before adding on, just settle in here on a different side. So just notice how you feel in this shape on this side. If you would like to experiment with adding on here, maybe cross that right ankle over the left thigh, creating additional traction in that left side of the body and into the twist. And you can always uncross that right ankle if you've decided that's not what the body needs today. Hold on to that breath for just a little bit longer. This is our last little pose before Shavasana. And on the inhale, bring the knees back up through center. And then any final adjustments, movements that you need to make before settling into your final resting pose, Shavasana. And make that whatever it needs to look like for you today. So maybe you take the legs down the length of the mat, arms by the side for a more traditional Shavasana. Maybe you bend the knees, take the feet to the outside edges of the mat and let the knees rest on each other. You can even come and roll over onto your side or a belly, whatever sounds good for you today. And then let's finish our practice with one last little scan of the body, just like how we started. So we'll start with the soles of the feet here, traveling all the way up the legs, up the body to the crown of the head. Looking for feedback, noticing anything that's shifted or changed since we started practice today. Maybe even checking back in with the parts of the body that we're normally usually numb to. Has anything changed there today? And if not, that's okay. We're just checking in. Once you've finished your scan, let go of your controlled breathing and allow yourself to enjoy these next few moments in rest and experience the sensations in the body that you've cultivated from your practice today. Start to bring some awareness back to the body. Maybe invite in gentle movement, wiggling fingers and toes. Maybe rolling out wrists and ankles. And if you would like to take additional time in your Shavasana, you can stay just as you are. If you would like to finish class with me in a seat, please make your way there in whatever in whatever way makes sense for you. And any seat that feels good for you today. We bring hands at heart center for Anjali Mudra. I consider it a great honor and privilege to sit in the seat and share my practice with you. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart for allowing me to share this with you and for allowing me this honor. The light in me truly sees and the light in me truly sees and honors the light in you. Namaste.